Hello everybody, Linda the Gamer Gal here, and I took on the 12 RPG challenge because back in April, I saw a bunch of videos of people saying that they were going to join as a group and take on this challenge, and I looked at the game list and I saw that I had done a lot of RPGs already, so why not just keep going and finish off and get 12 RPGs in 1 year. And I know that I've done since 2020 to 2023, I've only done about like maybe 15, 20 RPGs already. So I have completed more RPGs in 1 year than I've done my whole lifetime. And I really enjoyed this challenge. So I'm going to give you my thoughts. We're going to rank the RPGs, how I felt about them, and just a general story. So let's dive right in. And we'll start with a negative. Just get that out of the way. Might as well. So the only game that I was glad was over is Sword and Fairy 7 or Sword and Fairy Together Forever. This is a game where you're a young woman and you find a magical fruit and you take a bite of it only to find out that you're now bound to a guy because you ate the fruit. And you have to figure out how to cohesively survive because now he cannot leave your side at any point or he vanishes. And so you find that there's an evil group that is trying to go from one dimension to your dimension to overtake and get rid of the prodigal kid, and you are trying your best to balance this new problem and also save your land from the evil people. And so I enjoyed it. It's an action RPG, but it's all in Chinese and Mandarin, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's very hard to keep going with all the multiple people are talking at the same time during battles. And so I always watch a ton of games and movies that are in different languages, and I always can balance it. This is one of the only games that I've ever had an issue with where I didn't know most of the story because of the problem of multiple characters fighting and talking at the same time, and you're trying to battle it. And the second thing that why I was glad it was over is the glitches. The glitches were horrible. It was at one point the reason why I might have not finished this game. This game literally took me 23 hours, and most of it was because I had to keep backtracking and trying again and again because a boss would show up, I would battle the boss, and these boss fights were tedious already. They were long, drawn-out, tedious battles, and most of them were in dungeons and different things like that. And they're supposed to be epic and fun, but if the boss is deleting and a void and you can't see it because it's invisible, it's very frustrating. You went through a dungeon, lost an hour, and you have to start over again. It's not fun. And so if that didn't happen, I think I would have had this higher up in the tier rank and it would have been a great game. But it just was not fun because of that reason. And so I don't recommend it if it's a glitchy mess still. If they ever do patch it and fix it, because I played this back in June. I don't know if they did another patch to try to fix the problem, because I saw many people when I was playing it had the same issue of like the bosses were hard, they were glitching, they were not working. And so I just hope that one day they fix it and then it's going to be a great game because it had so much potential. I enjoyed the story and that's why I picked this game to play. But if the glitches keep happening, I can't recommend it. So check before you play it. And we'll move on to the other game that is okay and I enjoyed. That is a Game Boy game that was made for itch.io. I found this on there, and it's There's Nothing to Do in This Town. And basically, it's a short, very short game. You are a young man who finds out that your town is overrun by zombies, and you have to figure out how to get the zombie hunter to help you. And so you have to find who it is first and then work your way through and get rid of them in the buildings and stuff like that. It didn't take me long. It took me only an hour to finish this game. Probably 2 hours if you don't understand the puzzles right away. But the puzzles weren't that difficult. They were easy to figure out. And so basically the young man has to like find different things throughout the world and find money. I know it's a person from Europe because it says quid. So if you play the game, you'll be like, oh, okay, we're somewhere in Europe. It's got funny little quirks to it. It reminds me of an old Game Boy game from back in the day, and I think that's what the developer was trying to do. Sadly, it just abruptly stops. The story is doing well. You're seeing the checklist and you're going through it, and then all of a sudden it just goes boop, done. And I'm like, either you ran out of memory or you ran out of time or you just didn't know what to do next with the story. And that's kind of sad. I really was enjoying the game, and then it just went boop, done. And I was like, oh, credits, okay, we're done. So I understand though why, because you can't save for the game. It's a game where you have to play it all in one sitting, which is a lot of itch.io games where they don't have a save system and they're not built in. So definitely, if you play this game, if you find it on itch.io, make sure that you play it and have time to play it all the way through, because you can't save. So fun game. I hope that they make more, whoever made the game, and we get to see it later on. But I haven't seen anything from this developer, so kind of sad that I found it later when the person was done. Okay, now we're going to move on to the good games. And the first good game is Citizen Sleeper. This is a game that it's more like a TTRPG. And the reason why is because you roll dice to help with your outcomes. And you read a lot. This is a game where if you're not into reading, you will not enjoy this game. There's no battle system other than you are trying to figure out ways to stop somebody. You have to be using puzzles and different things to like help figure out what you are. And so you are a cyborg, and you once were a human, and you're kind of like RoboCop. Your memories were transferred to a cyborg to whatever reason. And basically your job is to fix the ship. You're fixing the ship, you're working everything, and then you find out some bad people want to hurt you. And you're like, oh crap, I don't know what to do with this. So you take your time, you're figuring it out, but then you realize, oh, I have to eat, I have to earn money, I have to do my daily stuff. So you have to balance, and you have to coordinate your day based on what is the best for you and what is the best outcome as possible for the day. And so you have 2 health bars. You have your core internal energy, which is basically your whole system. It's like your body. And then you have your hunger meter. You have how much food is in your system or fuel in your system. And so it's in cycles. So you have a day cycle where it goes by like, oh, cycle 1 is done. And so you know that the first day is over. It took me 118 cycles to get through the story. I did enjoy some of the side stories. Some of them were pointless and tedious, and they weren't worth my time. So that's why it's not great, because there's moments I was like, oh, that's all that happens. That's it. And there is a creature also in like the network. Like you're also trying to like hack the network, and so like there's like this weird, kind of looks like a Cthulhu character. And that was cool. I enjoyed that part. But if you figure out the system, you can kind of just burn through the game really fast. This game took me 11 hours to finish, and it was not horrible. I enjoy the game. It's just, again, not for people who don't like to read. So if you're not into reading, you're not going to enjoy this one. And that's why many people probably just put it to the back burner. I know they're going to make a sequel, just like another couple of the games on this list, that there's going to be more. But we'll see what happens in the future. So the next good game is Cat Quest. Cat Quest is an action RPG, and you're a young cat who witnesses your sister being taken by an evil guy, and he's also a cat. And you have to figure out how to save your sister. And he tells you, well, in order to save your sister, you have to defeat 3 dragons. The 3 dragons are hidden throughout the world, and you have to work your way up. Good luck, level up, you got this. And so you start walking around and you realize, oh crap, I need some swords, I need armor. So you have to start like building up your character. It kind of reminds me of a Zelda game from the Game Boy era, where you are top-down view and you have to dodge a lot and you have to figure out life and dungeons. There's a lot of dungeons, and it's a good game. It's one of those games where I don't know if I would level up and go all the way through. This game didn't take me that long. It was the last game that I finished for the challenge, and it was 9 hours of fun. Basically, you have to learn different abilities and magical abilities. You could either be all magic for your build, or you could be a fighter with a little bit of magic. That's what I did. I was a fighter with a little bit of magic, and basically you have to figure out what works best for each battle. So you'll go through dungeons. The dungeons will tell you what level you need to be. If you go to a dragon, it'll tell you, hey, you're not leveled up enough yet. Go back and try again. And the reason why is because you have a little fairy. A little fairy is telling you as you're walking around, like, hey, guess what? You need to do this. You need to go here. Don't forget this. Do this. Oh, look, there's something over here. And so the little fairy is talking to you. And it's a fun game with that part. I do wish that there was a little bit more in the world, but I understand because it's an indie game. It's not going to do as much because there was their very first game, I guess. And there's 2 more. And I think there's going to be a 4th one. That's how good it's doing. So I enjoyed the game. If you do play the game, learn the powers. That's my only recommendation. It will make the game easier for yourself because the final battle is long and tedious. And you have to learn what you can and can't do. So have fun. Good luck with that one. Okay, next we are going to move on to great games. And the first one is Minecraft Dungeons. I know, right? I did not expect Minecraft Dungeons to be on this list, but I do like dungeon crawlers. I was debating about this game. I was wondering if I should play or not, leave it for next year, and I'm glad I did. It's kind of like Diablo. You have a bunch of dungeons you have to get through, and you're trying to defeat an evil guy who basically is like, you must give me everything kind of thing. It's a funny little story. But the one thing I do like is it lets you choose your level for the kids. If you want to be, super easy, you can make it the easiest level possible. And then it goes all the way up to like uber difficult, and that shit gets real. So it's not too bad for some of the people if you want to try it out. I do know there's DLC. I saw on the map. I didn't play it because I was like, I'll just play the base game. And I enjoyed the base game. There was a lot of armor to choose from. I enjoyed figuring out what weapon does what, because there was like some silly weapons that just did random quirky things that I didn't understand. But I was like, okay, it's a fun thing, and it's probably because of Minecraft. And I understood that, and I was like, okay, you did a good job. The developers made a good game. I don't know if they're going to make a sequel. I hope they do. And it does make me want to play more dungeon crawlers later, so thank you, Minecraft Dungeons, for making me want to go back into more dungeon crawlers, since I haven't played one in forever. Diablo 3 was the last one. We'll see. Next one is for great is Octopath Traveler 2. And the reason why Octopath Traveler 2 is not on the top tier is because of the difficulty. There is 8 characters in the game, and they all have different stories. I played the apothecary for this one, and I enjoyed that story. I really did. I picked one that I really vibed with. Some of the other stories I just could not get into, like the merchant. I really wanted to enjoy that guy. His story was just all over the place. It was bland, in my opinion. I know you might come at me in the comments if you want to and debate about why his story is amazing, but it just was not for me. I don't understand it. It was a game story that it didn't make any sense. He wants to go and save the world, but I understand, like you could have just saved your own town and then worked your way around. I dug the samurai. I dug the other ones, but I don't get it. Like, they didn't cohesively blend well together. You're an apothecary for this one, and you basically are trying to save the world from an evil guy who has made everybody sick in your area. And it's a little map, and you see like little areas where you're like, okay, you can pick up this person, you can pick up that person. And I stopped picking up people because I realized I had to level them up as well. That's another thing. I was like, I don't have that many hours. I already spent, I don't know, like 57 hours playing this game. And I was like, do I want to keep going? I'm like, eesh. So when I got to the 40-hour mark, I was like, if I keep going through all these characters, I'm going to be here for over 200 hours, and I don't have that time for that. So I stuck with like 4 or 5, and then I found the ones that I like to battle with, and then I just moved on from that because I saw like another one, like the dancer one. She just wants to be a star, and I was like, cool. I'm going to put you on the back burner. But I like the job system. You can have a second job where you find them throughout the map. They're hidden, and you can use their mechanics and different things to help with your story. It also builds your character up. It's like a leveling up system as well. So that's another good thing. I did like that you had multiple side quests that were actually fun. I enjoyed them. So if you want a game that you can get 8 RPGs in one, kudos to you. You play all 8 RPGs, you get all the stories. Chapter 4 was brutal for my character. I don't know if I want to do chapter 4 for every single one, because some of them didn't have like chapter 3 or whatever. But my word, was chapter 4 difficult. I almost didn't make it. I thought I was going to have to just like put this on the back burner. And so I'm glad I finished it. I did complete it, and I did this in July, and I'm just we'll see. I don't know if I'll finish the first one because it's not connected. So it's another 8 stories, and it's like, I'm not wanting to do this challenge and burn through like a ton of like stories. So good game. And next we're going to go into the awesome tier because the rest of them are awesome. And so we'll start off with Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise is an action RPG. You are a young man who has lost his memory, and you're wearing a mask, and so they call you Iron Mask. I know. Very, very awesome name, right? You find out the Danans are being enslaved, and he's a Danan. And the Renans are basically taking them over. And so he is in his encampment and he's working, and all of a sudden he sees a train and he hears a young woman screaming. And so he goes to save her, and then in turn makes his life difficult because now he has to leave and has to go on the run. So he takes her with her. And then he finds out that she is a Renan, and he's like, are you going to hurt me or are you going to turn me in? And she's like, I'm running from them too, so we're in the same boat. We're gonna go defeat this evil guy, and we will get done and just knock him off, and then we will not have to worry about him anymore. So let's just get this over with. Let's get rid of the evil people that are enslaving us, and we'll be good to go. So the story is more broad than that. That's just a general, I don't want to ruin the story, it's just a general vibe of it, but I like the action RPG. It had a good vibe to it. The story was great. I really enjoyed it. The voice acting was amazing. I did like the battle system. I will say I did have to change the strategy up once I realized the AI was stupid and started burning through too much health at the very end. It's kind of like you have to tell them not to burn through health as much, because there's a moment where I realized when I was at the final battle and I had seen them burn through, like 30 of my health things, and I was like, oh crap, I'm not even like the second loop, because I started learning the loops as I was going through the battle, and I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna make it because I have so many, and then once they're fallen, I can't revive them. And so yeah, definitely tell your healer not to heal as much and you should be fine with that one. But yeah, fun story. I loved it. Okay, next we're going to go to Super Mario RPG. This is the remake of the Super Nintendo game. I really dug this story. You play as some of the familiar characters from back in the day, as Mario, Bowser, and Peach. And then there's a couple other characters you don't know who they are, but you're going to learn them as you go through. This one I finished in March, and this was about 15 hours. It was a game that was on the shorter end, but I dug it. It's very, very smooth with the story. Basically, Mario is trying to save Peach, and Bowser needs his help. So they help each other. And this is one of the few games where they're working together to save their lady love, and they also want to get rid of the bad guy. And so it's like, let's just work together. We'll knock him out and we'll get rid of him. And so you go through the world. You can see the little creatures on the map, and you can avoid them if you want to, or you can level up and get through it. I did have a fun time with the final battle. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. And so definitely try this out. It's an easier RPG, I will say, compared to like the other ones that I've played so far. But I did remember it, and I played it right in the beginning of the year, so definitely worth your time for sure. Okay, next we're gonna go to Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is kind of like an homage to Chrono Trigger. It has an 8-bit vibe to its art style, and the story was really good. You are 2 characters. You play as Moon Girl and Sun Boy, And basically, you are guardians who have magical powers, and at a young age, they're born from like kind of like a festival, and you see them just populate into like the basket. And pretty much, they are learning to be what they need to be later on in life. They're always training to build up their magic and build up their fighting style. And you find out that throughout the story that there was a group more of them, but they kind of got destroyed by an evil guy. And so you have to figure out how to battle. And the old man that is teaching you, he tells you have to go on a journey and you have to develop your style and your skills. And so you kind of go do like a little tutorial and then you work your way through the story. I did really enjoy this game. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the soundtrack. It was very good. It was so good. I even bought the copy twice. Like, I bought a digital copy and I bought a physical copy. That's how much I like the game. And I bought the collector's edition from Japan before they announced that they were going to release it here in the States. And so that's why I was like, okay, cool. I still have it. This took me about 25 hours to finish. And this was my very first game that I finished in the year. And this game, I still play off and on different times of the year just to see the next part. The mini game was fun. There is a mini game that I really enjoyed. It's like in the taverns. If you go to the taverns, you see that and you're like, oh, cool, let me play a little mini game. Had a good time with this mini game. It's fun in there. Like, you got to try it. There's a couple mini games and several RPGs, and this one I really dug. So definitely try it out. Next, we're going to go to Phantasy Star 4. One of the only Genesis games that I played and finished. This is my first Phantasy Star game that I've played all the way through. I think I've tried to play Phantasy Star and couldn't get through it, but that was like the second one I think I tried to finish. This one is amazing. This is a turn-based RPG, and you basically are a young man who is learning how to be a monster hunter, and you go on a trip with somebody who is training you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to get through this, and we're just going to go do our normal thing. You get to the school only to find out that they're harvesting monsters in the basement, and there's more than meets the eye. And so you have to basically go confront the principal, and you find out that it's a bigger sprawl. Like, there's more groups of people doing this, and you realize you need to help out your whole world and your whole country. And so you go on a journey to stop all these monsters and stop the group of people that are doing this. And then you find out that it's more than a group of people. It's actually a creature. And so you're like, oh crap, I need to go do this. It was a fun RPG. This one I finished in about 40 hours. I also finished this in July. This was like a month that I really crushed RPGs because I was just like, boom, 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 boom. But it's a fun game. The soundtrack was amazing. It really helped out. I will say that there is a beginning part where you really need to level up first before you keep going. If you don't level up in this game, you will be knocked out immediately. There was a couple times where I almost didn't make it because I was like, oh crap, I'm in a fight that I'm underleveled. Oh no, I'm in this area, I'm underleveled. And then there is some vehicles that are really cool, but I remember them from the other stories too. There's like a Land Rover, and there's like, it crushes the rocks for you. There is a snow vehicle that helps you go through the snow areas, because you'll see parts where you can't walk. It only goes up one direction, and so you have to like get the vehicles to be able to move throughout the whole map. I did have a fun time with the creatures. The end battle was amazing. It was a fun time. I thought it was going to be a little bit more difficult, but I guess I was leveled up more than I thought I was going to need to be. And I like that you got to choose who was your fourth or fifth character. So you have your main core characters, and then you have the ones that you pick up along the way, and then they kind of just go back to doing their thing. And then at the end, they all show up at the ship, and they're like, you choose who goes with you. And then from there, that helps you with your fighting style. So really enjoyed this game. He was a great character for the lead character. He was still learning, and he was still trying to like battle and figure it out, but he was strong and tough, and not very many people were talking in the game at all. Like, it was all like text based, but you actually kind of like started like getting a vibe of like this is their personality and this is what they do. So I don't know if I'll play another Phantasy Star game, but this is a great one. Next, I played a Ys game because somebody told me I had to play at least one Ys game in my lifetime, and I played Ys 8. This is a story about a young man who is on a ship. He's basically one of the guardsmen, kind of like just going through, I'm going to go here, I'm just going to start my life. And during the journey, a kraken destroys their ship, and they have to get to this island, and they are shipwrecked. They need to figure out how to get everybody safe and how to get help. So he starts going through the island, getting all these people back, only to start having weird dreams and different things going on. And he's like, I keep seeing this woman. I don't know who it is, but this woman is showing me different parts of the island, and I'm seeing in my dream many different sculptures and figures and buildings that I see that are destroyed now. So it had to be a long time ago compared to what I'm seeing now. And so he keeps going through, starts seeing monsters on the island, and he eventually finds her, and he has to help her, and they need to help each other. So I'm not going to spoil too much of the story, but it's a fun game, definitely worth your time. If you have not played any, this would be right up your alley. This would be a great action RPG to start with. This one took me 39 hours to finish, so it's a little bit lengthier RPG, but I finished it right after Sea of Stars, so I don't think it's going to be one that you're going to get burnt out on because the story is so epic. So definitely try it out for sure. And the last game was a very fun game, and that is Final Fantasy, the Pixel Remaster. This one I wanted to play because I wanted to play the very first Final Fantasy. I think I got stuck on Final Fantasy a while back, and I just kind of put it down. I was like, okay, whatever. And I have played other Final Fantasies, like 15, and I really enjoyed them. So this is a turn-based RPG. You are 4 warriors of light, and there is an evil being that is controlling the crystals, and you kind of need to get them back and power the beacons up to be able to fight the final battle. So you go throughout the map, leveling up, and you have to figure out what you need to do to get to wherever you are. And the dungeons are really difficult. So make sure you're always over-leveled compared to whatever you think that the level's going to be. And build up all you can with your mages. I was a fighter, a monk, a white mage, and a black mage for my 4 warriors of light. Whatever mages you choose, make sure that they have as many spells as they can for the final battle. It was epic. It was great. I watched, I'm not lying, a couple people play the game, the original NES, and it was a little bit different in the final battle. I got one-shotted a lot, and my guys would take so much damage, and then he would heal. I'm like, oh, crap. And the NES one, a few of them, they were just like, just going through. It's an easy fight. I'm like, how the hell is it an easy fight? Like, you guys didn't have him heal at all and not one-shot you once. I was like, So I think the Pixel Remaster might have made it a little bit more difficult. They did fix a little bit of the glitches, and it was funny to see that they kept the grave, when the gravestones say Link instead of the other game. I can't remember what it was. It Sid? I think it was Sid. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I did enjoy the game, and I'm going to play through more of the Final Fantasies. I have a ton to go through, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that is my 12 RPGs that I completed for my 12 RPG challenge. Thank you, John Bundy, Total Level, and Mark Goes Blind Gaming. Those are some of the few people that have started the challenge, and Martin, he has also done the challenge, but not everybody is finished. So if you want to check out their videos, I'm going to put a link to a video for each of their challenge videos, and you can check out some of them. Some people did a compilation like I did, and others did individual videos for each individual game. So thank you. If you were new, please consider subscribing. Rolling out, give it a like before you finish rolling out, and I'll catch you all next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Linda the gamer gal, she's playing on all night. From vintage to modern, she's the queen of the fight. From in San Diego to Grand Theft Auto streets, Oregon Trail to Oregon Trail, she's got the beats. Stand back, she's got the Dingy in hand. With VHS recording, she's in command. From 8-bit wonders to the latest craze, Linda the gamer gal, she's here to amaze.